But one of the things that the toll of our poverty took on my mom was that she had lost her own family. She was so ashamed of how we'd ended up, how she'd ended up, that she felt that they would look down on her and judge her. So she fell off the radar. 40 years. And she had told me about her Aunt Eva up in northern Long Island, this wonderful Yankee grandma that she wanted me to meet. And so I called Aunt Eva. She was 90-some years old. And I took the train and a boat, was picked up by a car, and was taken to her home. This woman was your dream come true of that grandma. Handmade dress, apron, raised raspberries, harvested them and delivered them on her own in her 90s. Didn't have turn-on, turn-off plumbing. She had a pump, pumped her own water. This house was my mom's, where she partially grew up. She had my mom's toys from the teens and the 20s. She had the encyclopedia my mom first read still. And we had this, and she was very flirtatious, very wonderful. She poked me with her elbow, you know, we'd have this wonderful visit. My Harvard friend came to pick me up, and he was very Harvardian, sophisticated, you know, and he came to the door, and she preciously came to the door with me, and she said to him, "Young man, I only have one thing to say to you." And he said, "What's that?" And she said, "Never believe the lies Satan tells you." And he looked at her and he said, "I won't." So the great thing for me was that I had money for the first time. And so I flew my mom out. She got her a vacation. Brought her to my apartment. And she said, "I want to hear Aunt Eva's voice. Call her, but do not tell her I'm here." I said, "Okay. Just hold the phone up so I can listen." I said, "No problem, Mom." And I called her and said, "Aunt Eva, somebody wants to talk to you." And I gave her and my mother, of course, just burst into tears. What she didn't want to do was cry. And you know what Aunt Eva said? She said, "Why did you go away from us? Why didn't you come home?" 40 years they were waiting for her. So the next day, got on the train, took her on the boat. She went back to Aunt Eva, and she took care of Aunt Eva till she was 103 in June.
Oh,
so thank God for that. What a miracle that was. And I just want to say, you know, when I got to Harvard, I could go on, but time's going to run out, and I want to be able to answer questions about the books for you. But when I got over there, I had never gone anywhere. I had gone to Mexico, and I had driven with my dad and my mom to Yellowstone. And I always tell people, you know, if you're from San Diego, Yellowstone is back east. I said, "Oh, you're going back east?" "Yeah, I'm going to Yellowstone." That was it. So you imagine being out there in Boston for the first time in my life and experiencing things that Harvard offers somebody. I had been standing in an orphanage ranch in Mexico a couple of days before. Suddenly there I am, going to Cambridge, you know, going to Boston, seeing the history, going to Concord, seeing, you know, the bridge, you know, seeing Thoreau's cabin, going to Emerson's house. I was completely stunned that that existed. But I realized at a certain point that I had entered my mother's world. And it was this fantastic American moment for me, when I understood that I was not a child of the border. I wasn't trapped in a barrio, and I didn't have to strictly identify with all my relatives there, because it was America. And I really was American. It was my country. It was the most liberating thing that had ever happened to me. Now back home, because they're very funky in the way they think, one of my brothers said, "You know, Luis, he went from frijoles to baked beans." Which is true. So you guys should call it the baked beans tour. That, you know, in a nutshell, that was the journey. And I had taken a lot of journals about the orphanage work with me. And I had made a vow to God that I would put my own career aside until I got the story of the garbage pickers told. And I would tell you, if you're a writer or a starting writer, don't make a deal with God, because it doesn't always go on your schedule. And it took 10 years. It was rejected for 10 years before anybody would publish it. But they finally did, and here I am. So I'm glad, you know, you stick it out and things work out well. So all of that gave me a real interest in a kind of literature witness. I'm really interested in people's lives. I get mistaken a lot, particularly because of these books you have, as a political writer. I'm not trained in poli-sci. I'm not a statistician. I'm not any of that. I'm not even a sociologist. Creative writer. Like haiku poetry. So I like to tell people, you know, my real interest is more theological than political. I'm really interested in matters of the heart and soul and of our family that we are. I think America kind of has forgotten that we're a family. We forget how to talk to each other. It kind of breaks my heart because the touring that I do, I get to talk to every imaginable kind of group, from every persuasion. And a lot of times people are terrified of the last group I've been to. And I've never, ever, no matter what the political stance of the group, been treated harshly. Never. Because we like to talk. We forget we like to talk. So I'm thankful. And like I said, it's only in this country this could have happened to me.